What piece of advice would I give myself if I were just starting out? This is the question I often ask myself every time that I'm in a state of renewal or rebuilding. And quite honestly, it's not even a question that you should be asking someone else. Here's why. Hello, welcome to the Hello You Show. My name is Jessica Rice, and I am your host. Well, the question that I often ask when I'm thinking about what it is that I want to build, what do I want to create? I'm in a place of renewal. And as you can see, I even have my little renewal coffee cup with me here today. It's something that I think that a lot of us just don't consider or don't think about because we're so busy trying to do and be and resolve all of these other issues in order to either launch our business, grow our business, scale our business, and we get lost in all of the weeds of that. And we don't step back and we don't ask ourselves this really important question. Now, looking back, I probably would have done a lot of things differently. For one, I might have hired a financial planner. That would have been very helpful for me. I didn't think I could afford one at that time, and that's exactly why I should have hired one at that time. But that was my first mistake. My second mistake was still not really knowing who I wanted to be on this portion of my journey, on this chapter of my life. And it's not really a mistake as much as it is a reflection. Now, maybe we can't fully know who we're wanting to be in this place, but there are a few things I would consider or ask myself before jumping into any niche or committing to any specific path. And I think it's really important that you ask yourself this question over and over and over again as you continue to embark on launching or growing a business. And here's the question: what would I need to let go of in order to become the person that I'm meant to be? What would I need to let go of in order to become the person that I am meant to be? This question is gold. And here's why. Most of us spend our careers collecting achievements. We carry them around like little trophies, little badges that prove our worth, our value, our reason for being in the role, the title, the position that we're in. And when you embark on a business, the truth is that no one really cares. And I mean, yes, it's important to demonstrate what you're knowledgeable in. It's important to demonstrate maybe in tie how you got from where you are now or where you were to the person or the business that you're creating. But beyond that, nobody really cares if you won Employee of the Year 3 times in a row. That doesn't matter. And if you're an advisor or a consultant, all of those things that you carry around that you think are important, I ask you, how true is that? How important is it really? Because if someone's hiring you to be an advisor, all they really care about is you coming in and fixing the mess that they've made of their IT organization, or helping them with their finances, or helping them to become better at whatever it is that they're wanting to create or to achieve. They don't really care about you. And the second reason that this is so important is that we have to learn to let go. We need to learn to strip away, to remove all these things that we feel are so important that define us. And here's why. Because in order to become the person that you're meant to be, you have to learn to let go of the person that you were. And I know this one is literally the hardest one. It has been the most challenging for me personally and for so many of my clients who continue to rise up, to do other amazing things, make an impact, whether you're still in your corporate career or really, especially if you're looking to launch or grow your business. I personally spent years perfecting how to show up as a leader, how to speak, how to have the right cadence, how to talk and explain all of my ideas and my opinions and why we should move forward on said idea. And I felt like that phrase, fake it till you make it, was 100% true for me as a software engineer, because I spent the good portion of my time learning things I never really wanted to learn. Again, I had a design background. I moved into software engineering to prove to myself and to my colleagues, namely, that I could, and to reach a different income bracket. And nobody knew my little secret, or at least I didn't think that they did, or I hoped that they didn't, which would be even worse if they did. And so I spent the majority of my career learning to speak and talk and behave in a certain way to protect my secret. And that, my friends, is playing corporate, which none of us really want, but we do it anyways because it's required of us. It makes us feel important. We fit in more. We carry the gravitas required for the role. And I'm not saying that it didn't matter. Oh, it definitely mattered. But I later had a hard time distinguishing myself from the corporate persona to who I was, to me, to truly showing up as me. And honestly, still to this day, it's a struggle because it means letting people in, letting them into who I am, exposing myself. It's not just telling my story. It's letting them know who I am as a person. And there's a difference. And so I want you to consider, if you could let all of the polish go, who would emerge? Would it be someone who's silly, goofy, excited, eager, heartfelt? Who would you let shine a little bit more? And maybe there's a piece that only your close friends or your family get to see. Maybe that's the person that they see, but everyone else sees someone else. For me, it's sarcasm. I'm wildly sarcastic. And I have a mouth, which I've spoken about on this show. But not only that, in my mind, I'm pretty sharp and I'm pretty direct. And not a lot of people know that about me, not even some of my closest friends. And as a coach, it's pretty easy for me because I spend most of my time listening. The session is about my client. And so I ask questions for the most part around the things that they need to work through. And I think for the majority of the hundreds or plus clients that I've had, very few of them actually knew who I was. And only recently have I started to divulge a little bit more of myself in some of those sessions. And the reason was because as a coach, I felt like that was a big no-no. We're not supposed to make it about us. We're not supposed to even share anything about ourselves because that would derail the conversation from our client who we're supposed to be focusing on the intention of that discussion. But I also realized what a disservice because they didn't even know who they were talking to. I had no personality. And here's why I think this is so important that we consider this when we're thinking about launching a business, when we're thinking about growing or scaling or developing ourselves into the face of our company. Because when we're talking, when we're speaking, when we're showing up to present, and we're talking about who we serve and how we help them and what we solve, if there's none of us involved in that and it's all polish and perfection and zero raw, then the trust factor is going to go down. And I wonder how many others do the same thing. Because when it's time to be raw, not just with our opinions, but how we let people into who we truly are as humans, that's the part that we hold back. That's the part that we feel insecure about and that we worry that somehow will expose our deepest, darkest fears, that we're a fraud, we're nobody, that nobody should work with us. Heck, why would they even like us? I spent a good portion of my business niching down in areas that I truly wasn't passionate about. And they were in things that I felt someone with my background, someone with my expertise would be expected to pursue. And I continued weaving in certification after certification after certification to further prove my value and worth in this particular niche and to prove my own worth. And that was in leadership coaching. I spent so much time focusing on leadership coaching, and it wasn't even why I became a coach. It wasn't why I decided to leave corporate. It wasn't why any of those things. But as a coach, I felt like that's what I was supposed to do because that's what all of the coaches were doing. Everybody who had an ICF certification, they were going into leadership coaching. They were going into corporate coaching. And I have done a lot of that. I can tell you a lot about leadership. I can tell you a lot about organizations and organizational structure and team dynamics and intrinsic motivation and the neuroscience behind how to help teams to develop. But it wasn't what drove me. It wasn't what made me passionate. It wasn't why I woke up every single day excited about my life in this new chapter. And that's why I talk about self-worth and owning your value so much, and why I continue to focus on how I'm evolving, how I'm renewing. And maybe you've struggled with this yourself. Maybe you've struggled in your corporate career. Maybe you've struggled in your business to really find your voice, to find your place, to find your meaning. And maybe it's a struggle to know how to package yourself, how to put yourself out there in a way that blends all of you. And when I say all of you, I'm not just talking about expertise and experience and background. I know I've talked about these things, but it hit me so hard, even in the last week, that it's about you. It's about who you are as a person and authentically showing up as yourself. The raw, the vulnerable, the funny you. And I hesitate to even say the word authentic because I swear that was the word for 2024. Everybody was saying your authentic self. But what does that even truly mean? And what I liken it to mean is how you are no longer covering yourself up. You're no longer hiding. You're no longer worrying so much about the polish and the perfection. And you're allowing pieces of yourself to start to peek through, to emerge, to say, hello, I'm here. I want to say hi to you. Because that's the person that most people are going to be interested in. And when you go to sell a product or a service that you built yourself, that fulfills a greater purpose, a deeper meaning in your life, you have to be able to speak about it in a way that's compelling, that you have conviction, that you have passion, that other people can start to feel that comes out of you. And if we're working on trying to show up as having all of the things in place, then that can't come through. And it's why I rebuilt my business from the ground up to create a community and support system and a network that does the work that I'm most passionate about, helping entrepreneurs in the greatest fight for their lives, because that is what you're doing every single day. And whether you realize it or not, you're fighting. You're fighting inside of your career for recognition, for greater visibility, for vision, for performance. And in a business, you're fighting for your dreams. You're fighting for freedom of choice. You're fighting for living life on your terms. Either way, you're in a fight. And I ask you, which fight is worth more to you? Which life means more to you? Whose dream takes up space in your head? And which one will you sacrifice more to build? Either way, you're building someone's dream. And is it someone else's or is it yours? Thanks so much for joining me today. I really want to ramp up this show, and I have an ask for you. I need your help. Number one, would you please like and subscribe to this show if today's conversation brought any meaning to you? Number two, if you'd be willing to leave a review, that would go a long way for our show. This is a passion project. This is something that's near to my heart, and it means a lot for the algorithms. And number three, and probably most important, if you could comment and let me know, what topics are you most interested in having covered to support your business? Your help would mean the world to us, because I'm passionate about spreading hope and love to those who want to live a life on their terms. Have an incredible week with power and with purpose. Thank you for tuning into the Hello You Show. It's been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey today. If you found value in our conversation and want to support the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also deeply appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also enables others seeking inspiration and authenticity to discover our community. Until next time, keep embracing your story with purpose.